Y'all can bear with me for a second. I just want to point something out from the first reading from last week. Everybody remembers that one, right? We probably don't remember too much about the first reading this week. But anyhow, the first reading from last week, and I heard it 4 times last week, and every time I heard it, these words kind of stood out. And it said, standing at one end of the open place that was before the water gate, he read out of the book from daybreak till midday. From daybreak till midday. And I thought about it and I said, wow, sometimes we complain because Mass goes more than an hour. You know, how much things have changed since the days of old, right? And I guess, thank God, they have. But that's not really what I came to talk about tonight. Actually, it's about the second reading. Okay, and if it sounded familiar to you, it's probably because you've heard it many times, right? If you've attended a wedding, there's probably a 90% chance that you heard that second reading from Paul, where he talks about love and what love is and all. And it's a great time to hear that message at a wedding, right? Because 2 people are joined as one and they're beginning their journey together. But do you know why that reading is often picked? Because the bride picks the readings. I just find it funny that she never picks the one that says, wives, be obedient to your husbands. But anyhow, what Paul is telling us, Paul is giving us a painting, a portrait of who God is, right? Because he's trying to help us to know and to be able to picture this image of God. Because as Catholic Christians, we have to know that God is love. How many times have we heard that before? And you see, Paul in this reading, he gives us a description of who God really is. He's patient, he's kind, he's merciful. He's all of these great things that Paul has in this second reading. But today, this week when I was preparing, the Holy Spirit kind of turned the tables on me. And he said, you know what? He said, this reading is a good examination of conscience. He said it's just a simple little thing that you have to do. And when you look at this reading, starting from the second paragraph, you change the word love to am I, and you make it into a series of questions. Am I patient? Am I kind? Am I not jealous? Am I not boastful? And you see, we have to stand, when I tell you, I always love to do this, is to stand in front of the mirror in your bathroom and you read this reading and you do this, change those words, not I am I, right? We don't want to get that mixed up. But when you're standing in front of the mirror and you're looking at yourself eye to eye, it's kind of hard to even lie to yourself. I'm going to tell you, I did this, right? I stood in front of my mirror and I took this examination of conscience for myself. And I didn't do too well. Because I saw a lot of things that I'm not really, that I don't really fit in. But we have to ask ourselves, if those things really fit us and be as honest as possible. But I'm going to tell you this, if you pass the test, if you go through it and you come out perfect, then ask your wife or your husband. Ask your children. Ask your co-workers and your friends. Because you see, those are the people that we have to be witnesses to. Those are the people that we have to be that image of God for. That's who our faith really makes a difference to. It's how we live in the world. And when people see us, do they see God? Do they see Jesus Christ when they see me? Because you see, if I can't see that for myself in the mirror, then I've probably got a little bit of work to do. And I'm going to give you all a little secret. I hope I don't shock anybody with this statement. None of us are perfect. But we're called to be perfect. We're called to be holy. Like our Father in heaven is holy. He wants us to work on ourselves as much as possible so that we can fit this description as much as possible to be those witnesses to the rest of the world. Because you see, I want to tell you, we can change the world, but it begins with changing ourselves. So we have to recognize the faults that we have and begin to work on those faults. And if we do this as a community, as this family we call the church, we can truly become that church of love, that church of God that witnesses who Jesus Christ is to all of us. And we can make a difference in the world. Because face it, the world needs to change. The world needs to bring itself closer to God. And we have to do that one person at a time, starting with ourselves. See, there's a phrase I read a good while back that really gives me hope every day. And I kind of think about it every morning when I get up. And that phrase is that every saint had a past and every sinner has a future. See, that gives me hope, because this tells me that I have a future, because I can guarantee you I'm not a saint, because I know me better than most people do. And we all have things that we have to work on in our lives. And I said that the blessing of the Holy Spirit and how He led the church to put this reading right before Lent. When we're going to start thinking about how we're going to start to change our lives, to move closer to Christ, to build on that relationship with Jesus Christ. Now I'm going to tell y'all, I don't like the phrase, what are you giving up for Lent? That I'm going to give something up for Lent. See, I like to call it surrendering. What are we going to surrender to God for Lent? And there's a phrase, I've used it quite a few times. And it says, just when I think I've surrendered everything, He asked me for something I'm not ready to give up. What is it that God is asking us for? What is it in our lives that He wants to fix, but we need to surrender it to Him so that He can take care of it? So that He can help us in everything we do. God is calling us to be His disciples. He's calling us to be these people of love. He sent His Son here to teach us what love is. Are we ready to take on that challenge? Are we ready to allow God to come within us and change us so that we can begin to change the world? Are we truly ready to be those people of love so that our future is heaven?